In the spring of 2019, community organizers and visionary leaders joined forces to create a first-of-its-kind program that deliberately works to connect overlooked communities with the great outdoors.
Hi, my name is Will Jerome-Wright. I'm a professor of natural resource management at New Mexico Highlands University. I've spent the better part of the last 10 years doing wildlife studies, bird surveys, and investigating the effects of climate change, landscape use change, and wildfire on western bird populations, primarily in New Mexico, but a little bit in the southern plains of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas as well.
In 2020, the New Mexico Outdoor Equity Fund awarded a grant to Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance to take kids in Las Vegas birding and fly fishing in the Gallinas River Park in the town center.
Yeah, so birding here in New Mexico is truly world-class, and I don't mean that as a hyperbole. There's been about 540 species of birds seen in New Mexico, and part of that high diversity of vertebrates is due to the variability in elevation. There's different habitats. The state is super different from Las Cruces to Las Vegas, from the high mountains to the desert. So there's a lot of bird diversity within the state, and here in the Las Vegas area, we have the Gallinas River and Riverwalk Park that kind of acts as a migratory corridor connecting the Great Plains and the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. And we're kind of a meeting place of birds of the plains and the mountains. So we have great diversity here in Las Vegas. So in the course of these tours, we started in about mid-April, right as migration was getting going, and we've had good luck with a lot of our migrating warblers, so some expected species like yellow warbler, yellow-rumped, Wilson's warbler, orange-crowned warbler. And then the big wow factor, especially for the kids, has been western and summer tanagers, which of course are really bright yellows and reds. About every week we've had about 30 species per outing, so pretty good diversity.
This opportunity gives local youth a chance to realize there's a fascinating world right in their backyard that they could be proud of and have respect for. It fosters querencia and a pride in the river that supports their community.
It's a great way for youth to get out in nature, explore the habitats that we live and work around in. Las Vegas is a rural community, has very strong agricultural roots, and a lot of people were not really connected to nature, both in agricultural settings, but also our natural world. So for a lot of these kids, it's the first time really getting to use a good pair of binoculars, learning how to use binoculars, and not just kind of seeing a turkey vulture sky in the high above, but really getting to see the iridescence of a common grackle or the yellows of a yellow-rumped warbler. So we've had a lot of sort of patient waiting. Birding is a lot of waiting, and it's kind of hard for young kids sometimes, but then you have that moment where that bright red summer tanager pops into view, and yeah, very rewarding to hear some of those wows and, you know, oh, oohs and ahs. The oohs and ah kind of birds are really rewarding. Along with the walking tour, we also have a guidebook, much like a junior ranger kind of program. And part of the activity that I've really seen as beneficial is doing a sound mapping exercise where we have everyone stays stationary and still and quiet for 5 minutes, and we construct a small map on a piece of paper and kind of map out the sounds. So I'm hearing an American robin upstream, and a yellow warbler slightly downstream, and a warbling vireo right over our heads. And so these young folks are constructing this kind of map of the natural world around them using their senses, being quiet, kind of stepping back from nature and allowing it to sort of unfold in front of them.
2020 undoubtedly came with its challenges, and yet community organizations continue to do important work to cultivate and create community.
We live in a world surrounded by other organisms, right? Humans are doing our own thing, but we're surrounded by this world of plants that have their own natural cycle, and insects with their own natural cycle, and birds as big, bright, vertebrate animals change with the seasons. They come with our spring and summer. Some of them go with our fall and winter. Some birds are only here during the winter, and they're utilizing our habitat, the habitat that we Las Vegans have created. And so connecting with what else uses our world changes how we plan and utilize our own, right? right? Knowing that the Riverwalk isn't just a place where it's just for running or it's just for walking, but it's also a place that robins use to get nesting material, or turkey vultures use to roost for the night. So kind of it's a sharing exercise of observing that natural world and learning to appreciate it, that we share it with all of these other organisms.
Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance will apply for another Outdoor Equity Fund grant in 2021, so we can build on this great work and continue to engage our local youth.
The Outdoor Equity Fund has really allowed us to open access to something like birding that either takes sort of a random access point or usually retirement to get into, but this has really expanded the audience for getting out, taking in our own nature, taking in our own wildlife, and appreciating just sort of what's in our own backyards. That these aren't sort of outdoor hobbies and interests that are inaccessible. We can do it right outside of your back door.
Thank you to the New Mexico Outdoor Equity Fund for empowering local organizations to continue the hard work of breaking down barriers and creating access for the next generation of New Mexicans.